50 years had passed since the attack on Vorn Prime. 50 years of war. 50 years of death. 50 years of revenge. The Galactic Council no longer existed. The 400 species that had voted to destroy humanity were gone. Their planets were empty. Their cities were dust. Their people were ghosts. The galaxy had become a graveyard. Admiral Tejo II walked through the halls of the human capital on New Earth. He was named after his great-grandfather, the man who had first received the warning of the alien attack. He had never met the old admiral, but he had heard the stories. He carried the name with pride. New Earth was not really Earth. It was a planet in a distant corner of the galaxy, terraformed to look like the home humanity had lost. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It was beautiful, but it was not the same. Nothing could replace what the aliens had taken. The admiral stopped at a large door. 2 guards stood on either side, their faces hard and cold. All human soldiers looked like that now. The war had changed them. It had turned them into something different, something harder. "She's waiting for you," one of the guards said. The admiral nodded and walked inside. The room was simple. A bed, a chair, a window looking out at the stars. Hana sat by the window, wrapped in blankets. She was 94 years old now. Her hair was white. Her face was wrinkled. Her hands shook when she lifted them, but her eyes were still sharp, still angry, still burning. "Admiral," she said. Her voice was weak but clear. "You have news?" "Yes, grandmother." The admiral sat down across from her. "It is over. The last council species has been destroyed. The war is finished." Hana was quiet for a long moment. She looked out the window at the stars. So many stars. So many dead worlds. How many did we kill? She asked. 2 trillion, the admiral replied. That is our best estimate. The records are not complete. 2 trillion. It was a number that meant nothing and everything. 2 trillion lives ended because of a vote made 100 years ago. And how many of us survived? 4 billion. We have colonized 37 planets now. Our population is growing again. Hana nodded slowly. 4 billion. We started with 500 million in the bunkers. We have done well. You have done well, the admiral said. You led us. You gave us purpose. Without you, we would have died in the darkness. Hana shook her head. I gave you hatred. I gave you revenge. Those are not good things to give. The admiral was surprised. In all his life, he had never heard his grandmother doubt the war. She had always been certain, always determined, always cold. Do you regret it? He asked. Hana thought about the question. She thought about all the aliens who had died, the soldiers, the civilians, the children. She thought about the cities they had burned, the planets they had destroyed, the species they had erased from existence. Then she thought about Earth, about the green beams falling from the sky, about the 3 billion people who had died in a single day, about her father, working until his last breath to build the foundation of humanity's revenge. No, she said finally. I do not regret it. They started this war. We finished it. That is how the galaxy works. The strong survive. The weak die. They tried to make us weak, and they failed. She looked at her grandson with tired eyes. But I am glad it is over. The hatred kept me alive for a long time. But it also poisoned me. I am tired of being angry. I am ready to rest. The admiral took her hand. It was cold and thin. You can rest now. The war is over. The galaxy is safe. The galaxy is empty, Hana corrected. We killed everyone who could have threatened us. Now there is no one left but us. It was true. Humanity had won the war, but the victory was hollow. The galaxy that had once been full of life was now silent. Trillions of aliens had lived on thousands of worlds. Now those worlds were empty. Only humans remained. What do we do now? The Admiral asked. Hana smiled. It was a small, sad smile. We live. We grow. We spread across the stars. We build something new. Something better, I hope. The war is over. Now we must learn how to have peace. She closed her eyes. But remember what happened. Remember what they did to us. Remember what we did to them. Never forget. Because if we forget, it might happen again. The Admiral nodded. He stayed with her until she fell asleep. Then he quietly left the room, far across the galaxy. On a small planet that no longer had a name, Kayleen waited. She was the last of her kind. The last Marin. The last member of the Council. The last alien of the galaxy. She had hidden for 50 years. Moving from planet to planet. Watching her people die. Watching the galaxy burn. She had known from the beginning that this would happen. She had warned them. But they had not listened. Now she was alone. A ship appeared in the sky above her. A human ship. She did not run. There was nowhere left to run. And she was tired of running. The ship landed. Soldiers came out, their weapons raised. Behind them walked a young woman with cold eyes and a hard face. You are the last one, the young woman said. Yes, Kayleen replied. I am the last. I am Commander G1. You will come with me. Kayleen nodded and followed the soldiers onto the ship. She did not fight. She did not beg. She just accepted her fate. The ship took her to New Earth, to the human capital, to a small room where Admiral Tejo II was waiting. He looked at her for a long time. She was small and blue, with silver eyes that had seen too much sadness. She did not look like a monster. She looked like a person who had lost everything. You were an observer, he said. You voted against the attack. Yes, Kayleen said. I was the only one. Why did you vote against it? Kayleen thought about the question. Because I knew it was wrong. Because I knew humans were different. Because I knew that if we attacked you, you would find a way to fight back. You were right. I wish I'd been wrong. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. He thought about everything that had happened. The war, the death, the destruction. All of it had started with a vote. A single decision that had destroyed the galaxy. What do you think we should do with you? He asked. Kayleen looked at him with her silver eyes. Kill me. It is what you have done to everyone else. I do not expect mercy. The Admiral considered this. She was right. Humanity had shown no mercy for 50 years. They had killed 2 trillion aliens. What was one more? But something made him hesitate. Maybe it was the way she looked at him, without fear or hatred. Maybe it was the fact that she had tried to save humanity when no one else would. Maybe it was something else entirely. Why did you warn us? He asked. Why did you vote against the attack? Because it was the right thing to do, Kayleen said simply. The right thing to do. The Admiral had not heard those words in a long time. In the war, there had been no right or wrong. There had only been survival. Only revenge. Only death. He made a decision. You will live, he said. You will stay here, on New Earth. You will tell us about the galaxy, about the species we destroyed, about the history we erased. We need to remember what we did. We need someone to remind us. Kayleen stared at him. She had expected death. She had not expected this. Why? She whispered. Why would you show me mercy? The Admiral stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars. So many stars. So many dead worlds. So many graves. Because the war is over, he said. Because we won. Because we killed everyone who hurt us. And now we have a choice. We can keep being monsters. Or we can try to be something else. Something better. He turned back to face her. You tried to save us. Now we will save you. It will not make up for what we did. Nothing can make up for 2 trillion deaths. But it is a start. Kayleen felt tears running down her face. Blue tears, the color of Earth's lost oceans. Thank you, she said. The Admiral nodded. Do not thank me yet. The galaxy is empty. Rebuilding will take thousands of years. And we have to live with what we have done. That might be the hardest thing of all. Outside the window, the stars were shining. Quiet and cold and empty. The galaxy had become a graveyard. Humanity stood alone among the graves, the last survivors of a war that had destroyed everything. But they were still standing, still alive, still moving forward. The Council had voted to attack Earth. They had thought they were removing a threat. Instead, they had created one. Humanity had turned the galaxy into a graveyard. Now they would have to learn how to live in it. The war was over. The real work was just beginning. Commander G1 was 28 years old. She had been born in Haven, in the asteroid city, after the attack on Earth. She had never seen blue skies or green trees. She had never felt rain on her skin or walked on soft grass. All she knew was metal walls and cold space, and the stories of what the aliens had done. She had grown up on those stories. Stories of burning cities and dying people. Stories of aliens who killed without mercy. Stories of a beautiful planet that was turned into ash. Now she was going to write anew. Story. G-1 stood on the bridge of the Ghost, the massive ship that Yumbai had built. Around her, 50 human soldiers worked at their stations. They were quiet and focused. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Commander, one of them said, we are approaching Vorn Prime. G1 nodded. She looked at the screen. The planet appeared before them, a gray world covered in cities. Millions of buildings. Billions of aliens. The heart of the Galactic Council. How many people live there? G1 asked. 8 billion, her officer replied. 8 billion. The same number of people who had lived on Earth before the attack. It was not an accident that Hana had chosen this target first. Open a communication channel, G1 said. Broadcast to the entire planet. The channel opened. G1 stepped forward and looked into the camera. She knew that billions of aliens were about to see her face. Good. She wanted them to see. People of Vorn Prime, she said. Her voice was calm and cold. My name is G1. I am a human. She paused. She imagined the confusion spreading across the planet. Humans? Impossible. The humans were dead. The Council had destroyed them 30 years ago. 30 years ago, G1 continued, your Council voted to attack our planet. They killed 3 billion of us. They burned our cities. They destroyed our home. They thought they had won. She smiled. It was not a friendly smile. They were wrong. We survived. We hid. We grew stronger. And now we have come to collect our debt. She turned to her officers. Prepare the Eater. On the surface of Vorn Prime, panic had begun. People were running through the streets, screaming. The military was trying to respond, but they were too slow. They had not expected an attack. They had not prepared for this. High Commander Voran was in his palace when the message came. He was old now, over 200 years old, and his gray skin had turned pale. He watched the human woman on his screen and felt something he had not felt in a long time. Fear. Impossible, he whispered. We destroyed them. But the proof was right in front of him. A human ship, bigger than anything the Council had ever built, floating above his planet. Invisible until it chose to reveal itself. The technology was beyond anything he understood. "High Commander," one of his officers shouted. "They are launching something." Loran looked at the tactical display. A small device was falling toward his planet. It was so small that it barely showed on the sensors. But something about it made his blood go cold. "What is it?" he demanded. No one answered. No one knew. The device entered the atmosphere. It fell for a few seconds. Then it activated. A point of darkness appeared in the sky above the capital city. At first, it was tiny, smaller than a dot. But it grew quickly. Buildings began to shake. Then they began to move, sliding toward the darkness. Then they began to collapse, pulled apart by forces no one could see. The darkness grew larger. It swallowed buildings. It swallowed streets. It swallowed people. Everything within 100 kilometers was pulled toward it and crushed into nothing. In 30 seconds, the capital city was gone. 10 million aliens, erased from existence. And the darkness was still growing. On the Ghost, G1 watched without emotion. "How long until the planet is consumed?" "Approximately 6 hours, her officer replied. 6 hours. 8 billion lives ended in 6 hours. It was faster than the attack on Earth, more efficient. "Leave one satellite active," G1 said. "I want the rest of the galaxy to see what happens here." The Ghost turned and disappeared into dimensional space. Behind it, Vorm Prime was dying. The darkness spread across the planet like a cancer, swallowing everything. Mountains, oceans, cities, all of it pulled into the void. Voran tried to escape. He ran to his ship and flew toward the sky. But he was too slow. The gravity caught him. His ship was pulled backward, spinning out of control. In his last moments, he saw his world collapse into a point of infinite darkness. Then he saw nothing at all. News of the attack spread across the galaxy in hours. The council members watched in horror as Vorm Prime was destroyed. One moment it was there, a thriving world with billions of people. The next moment it was gone, replaced by empty space. Emergency meetings were called. Fleets were mobilized. But it was too late. The humans were everywhere. On the planet Keth, the Kethni people woke up to find human ships in their sky. The ships did not attack immediately. They just floated there, waiting. A message played on every screen and speaker. The council voted to destroy humanity. You were part of that council. Now you will share their fate. The Kethni tried to fight. Their ships rose from the surface, firing weapons at the human fleet. But the human ships were protected by shields that absorbed everything. Missiles, lasers, plasma blasts. Nothing got through. Then the humans fired back. Green beams, just like the ones that had destroyed Earth. But these beams were stronger. Each shot destroyed a Kethni ship instantly. In 2 hours, the Kethni fleet was gone. In 4 hours, their cities were burning. In 6 hours, their planet was a lifeless rock. The pattern repeated across the galaxy. Planet after planet. Species after species. The humans came out of nowhere, destroyed everything, and disappeared. General Suho led the campaign in the outer systems. He attacked 12 planets in 1 month. His soldiers were ruthless and efficient. They did not take prisoners. They did not negotiate. They just destroyed. Some species tried to surrender. They sent messages begging for mercy. They offered tributes. They promised to leave the council. They would do anything to survive. Suho ignored them all. They did not show us mercy, he told his soldiers. We will not show them mercy. The council wanted us dead. Now they will get their wish. They will know what it feels like to be hunted, to be helpless, to watch everything they love burn. On Haven, Hana watched the reports coming in. Red dots on the map, marking destroyed worlds. There were dozens of them now, Soon there would be hundreds. She felt no guilt, no doubt, no hesitation. The aliens had taken everything from her. Her father, her friends, her planet. Now she was taking everything from them. How many have we killed? She asked. Over 50 billion so far, her aide replied. And we are just getting started. 50 billion. It was a number so large that Hana could not really understand it. But she did not need to understand it. She just needed to make it bigger. Good, she said. Continue the attacks. Do not stop until every member of the council has been destroyed. The aide hesitated. Some of the species were forced to join the council. They did not want to vote against us. They were afraid of Voran. Hana looked at him with cold eyes. Did they vote to destroy us? Yes, but then they are guilty. They could have said no. They could have refused. They chose to kill us. Now they will face the consequences of that choice. The aide nodded and left. Hana turned back to the map. So many stars. So many worlds. So many aliens waiting to die. She thought about her father. She thought about the promise he had made as he stood in the ruins of Soul. We will make them pay. She was keeping that promise. Every day, every hour, every minute. The galaxy had declared war on humanity. Now humanity was declaring war on the galaxy. And humanity was winning. 30 years passed. To the rest of the galaxy, Earth was dead. The council had celebrated their victory for a few weeks and then forgotten about the small blue planet. There were other matters to attend to. Trade agreements, border disputes, the usual business of running a galactic empire. No one thought about the humans anymore. They were gone. Just another primitive species that had been removed before they could become a problem. Voran had received many honors for his decision. He was called the Protector, the Wise One, the Savior of the Galaxy. He believed every word of it. He believed he had done the right thing. Kayleen did not believe it. She had quit the council after the attack. She could not work for people who had killed billions of innocent creatures. She moved to a small planet on the edge of the galaxy and tried to forget what had happened. But she could not forget. Every night, she dreamed of Earth. She dreamed of the green beams falling from the sky. She dreamed of the cities burning. She dreamed of the humans dying. And sometimes, she dreamed that the humans were not dead. Sometimes, she dreamed that they were hiding somewhere in the darkness, waiting. She was right. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, humanity was alive. They had built a secret city among the rocks, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy. They called it Haven. Admiral Tejo had died 10 years ago. He had worked until his last breath, building the foundations of humanity's revenge. His daughter, Hana, had taken over after him. She was 64 now, but she was still strong, still angry, still determined. Under her leadership, humanity had changed. They were no longer the weak, primitive species the council had attacked. They were something else now. Something harder. Something darker. General Suho walked through the corridors of Haven. He was 45 years old, tall and muscular, with a scar across his face from a training accident. He was the commander of humanity's new military, an army that had been built in secret over 30 years. He stopped at a large metal door and pressed his hand against the scanner. The door opened, and he walked into the laboratory. Inside, a woman was working at a computer. Her name was Yumbai. She was a scientist, the smartest person humanity had ever produced. Her hair was gray now, but her eyes were still bright and sharp. "General," she said without looking up. "You are early." "I was curious," Suho said. "Hana said you have something to show me." Yumbai smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had spent 30 years building a weapon of destruction. "I do," she said. Come with me." She led into a window that looked out into space. At first, Suho did not see anything. Just darkness and stars. Then Yunbai pressed a button, and the darkness moved. Suho stepped back in shock. What he had thought was empty space was actually a ship. A ship so big that his mind could not understand it. It was black, completely black, and it absorbed all light. That was why he could not see it. It was invisible. "What is that?" he whispered. "I call it the Ghost," Yunbai said. "It is the first of its kind. A ship that can move through dimensions. It does not travel through space. It steps outside of space and then steps back in wherever it wants. Distance means nothing to it." Suho stared at the massive ship. "How is that possible?" "The aliens who attacked us," Yunbai said. "They thought they destroyed everything. But they did not. They left pieces of their ships behind. Wreckage. Technology. I have spent 30 years studying it. Learning from it. Improving it." She pressed another button. The window changed, showing a different view. This time, Suho saw a star. A normal yellow star, just like the sun. "Watch," Yunbai said. A small device appeared near the star. It was tiny, smaller than a car. But when Yunbai activated it, something impossible happened. The star began to shrink. It collapsed in on itself, getting smaller and smaller until it disappeared completely. Where the star had been, there was now nothing. Just empty darkness. Suho felt cold. "You destroyed a star." "Yes," Yunbai said. "I call it the Eater. It creates a point of infinite gravity. Anything near it gets pulled in and crushed. Stars, planets, ships. Nothing can escape. How many do we have?" 50, and I can make more." Suho turned to look at her. "Can you destroy a planet with this?" "I can destroy anything," Yunbai said. "Stars, planets, entire solar systems. The Council killed 3 billion of us. I can kill trillions of them." Suho nodded slowly. He should have felt horror at what Yunbai had created. He should have felt guilt. But he felt nothing except satisfaction. The aliens had burned Earth. Now humanity would burn the galaxy. He walked back through Haven to the command center. Hana was waiting for him there. She looked old and tired, but there was fire in her eyes. The same fire that had kept her alive for 30 years. "You saw the weapons," she said. "I did. What do you think?" Suho sat down across from her. "I think we are ready." Hana nodded. She pulled up a hologram of the galaxy. Thousands of stars, thousands of planets, millions of aliens living their lives without any idea of what was coming. "The Council thinks we are dead," she said. "They have forgotten us. That is their mistake." She pointed to a planet near the center of the galaxy. "This is Vorn Prime, the capital of the Council, the home of the Vorni. This is where Voran lives. This is where they voted to destroy us." "That is our first target," Suho said. "Yes, but not our last." Hana zoomed out, showing more and more of the galaxy. "The Council has 400 member species, 400 races that voted to kill us. We are going to visit every single one of them. That could take years. It will take decades," Hana said. "Maybe centuries. But we have time. And we have patience. The aliens taught us something valuable when they attacked us. They taught us that the galaxy is not a place for the weak. Only the strong survive. Only the cruel win." She looked at Suho with eyes that had seen too much death. "We used to be kind. We used to believe in peace and cooperation. We used to think that if we were good, others would be good to us. The Council showed us how wrong we were. So now we become like them," Suho said. "No," Hana said. "We become worse. They attacked us because they were afraid of what we might become. They were right to be afraid. We are going to show them exactly what humanity can do when we stop holding back. She stood up and looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, aliens were sleeping peacefully. They were eating dinner with their families. They were living their lives without worry. They did not know that death was coming for them. 30 years ago, Hannah said quietly, they turned Earth into a graveyard. Now we are going to return the favor. We are going to turn the entire galaxy into a graveyard. Suho stood up beside her. When do we begin? Hannah smiled. It was cold and terrible. Tomorrow. We begin tomorrow. In the darkness of space, the ghost waited. It was patient. It was hungry, and soon it would feed. The alien ships came out of the darkness like metal monsters. There were 100 of them, each one bigger than a mountain. They blocked out the sun as they moved toward Earth. Captain Hannah stood on the bridge of her ship, the Brave Star. She was 34 years old, with short black hair and eyes that had seen too much sadness. Her father was Admiral Taeho. He had trained her since she was a child. He had taught her how to fight. He had taught her how to lead, but he had never taught her how to watch her world die. Captain, her second officer, Dong-won, said. His voice was shaking. The alien fleet is in position. They are preparing to fire. Hannah looked at the screen. Her small fleet had only 12 ships. 12 ships against 100 alien warships. It was not a battle. It was a death sentence. All ships, Hannah said into her communicator. This is Captain Hannah. We know we cannot win, but we are going to fight anyway. We are going to show these aliens what humans are made of. We are going to make them bleed. She heard voices coming back through the communicator. Her pilots, her soldiers, her friends. They were all scared, but they were also ready. For Earth, Hannah said. For Earth, they repeated. The Brave Star moved forward. The other ships followed. 12 human ships flying toward 100 alien monsters. It was the bravest and most foolish thing Hannah had ever done. The aliens fired first. Beams of green light shot out from their ships. They were so bright that Hannah had to look away. When she looked back, 3 of her ships were gone. Just gone. Turned into dust in less than a second. Return fire. Hannah shouted. The human ships fired their missiles. The missiles flew toward the alien fleet. But the aliens had shields, invisible walls of energy that stopped everything. The missiles exploded harmlessly against the shields. They did not even scratch the alien ships. More green beams. More human ships destroyed. In 5 minutes, Hannah had lost 8 ships. Only 4 remained. Captain, Dong-won said. He was crying now. We need to retreat. Hannah shook her head. Where would we go? There is nowhere to run. She was right. The alien fleet was between them and Earth. And even if they could escape, what was the point? The aliens were going to destroy their planet. Running away would only delay the end. Another ship exploded. Then another. Now there were only 2 ships left. The Brave Star and 1 other. Hannah closed her eyes. She thought about her father. She hoped he was safe. She hoped he would survive somehow. She hoped he would remember her. Captain! Dong-won screamed. They are firing on Earth. Hannah opened her eyes and looked at the screen. The alien ships had stopped attacking her fleet. They did not need to. 2 human ships were not a threat. Instead, they turned their weapons toward the blue planet below. Green beams shot down from the sky. They hit the Earth like giant hammers. Hannah watched in horror as the beams struck cities. Seoul, Paris, New York, Tokyo. One by one, the great cities of Earth were erased from existence. Millions of people died in seconds. Then millions more. The green light spread across the planet like a disease, destroying everything it touched. Hannah fell to her knees. Tears ran down her face. She could not speak. She could not think. She could only watch as everything she loved was burned away. The attack lasted for 1 hour. When it was over, half of Earth's surface was on fire. The oceans were boiling. The sky was black with smoke. 3 billion people were dead. The alien ships did not land. They did not take prisoners. They did not even send a message. They simply turned around and flew away, leaving Earth to die. On the surface, the survivors crawled out of the ruins. They were the lucky ones, the ones who had been in underground bunkers or remote mountains or deep caves. There were not many of them. Maybe 500 million out of 8 billion. Admiral Tejo was one of them. He had been in a bunker under the Defense Command building. The bunker had protected him from the attack. But when he came out and saw what remained of his city, he wished he had died with everyone else. Soul was gone. The city where he was born, where he grew up, where his wife was buried. All gone. Nothing remained but ash and melted metal. Tejo walked through the ruins. His legs were weak. His heart was broken. But he kept walking. He had to find survivors. He had to do something. He found them in the old subway tunnels. Thousands of people hiding in the darkness. They were hurt and scared and hungry. But they were alive. Admiral, one of them said. It was a young man named Jamin. He was a soldier, or he had been before the attack. Now he was just another survivor. What do we do now? Tejo looked at the faces around him. Old people, young people, children. They were all looking at him, waiting for him to tell them what to do. He wanted to say that everything would be okay. He wanted to give them hope. But he could not lie to them. Not after what had happened. We survive, he said. That is what we do. We hide. We rebuild. We get stronger. And then what? Jamin asked. Tejo thought about his daughter, Hana. He did not know if she was alive or dead. He thought about all the people who had died. 3 billion souls burned away in an hour. He thought about the aliens who had done this. They had killed billions of people and then flew away like it was nothing. His sadness turned to anger. His despair turned to rage. He felt something burning inside him, something hot and dangerous and unstoppable. And then we make them pay, Tejo said. We find a way to reach the stars. We find the aliens who did this. And we destroy them. Every single one of them. The survivors looked at him. Some of them were shocked. Some of them were scared. But most of them nodded. They understood. They felt the same thing he felt. The aliens had tried to kill humanity. They had almost succeeded. But almost was not enough. Humanity would survive. Humanity would grow. And when they were ready, humanity would have its revenge. Far above the earth, Captain Hana floated in her damaged ship. The brave star had lost power during the attack. It was drifting in space, dead and silent. But Hana was alive. She was the only one left. Dawn 1 and the rest of her crew had died when the engine exploded. She was alone in the darkness, watching her planet burn. She should have felt despair. She should have given up. But instead, she felt something else. She felt purpose. She activated her emergency beacon. Maybe someone would find her. Maybe she would drift forever in the cold emptiness of space. But either way, she was going to survive, because she had work to do. The aliens had made a mistake. They had attacked Earth, but they had not finished the job. They had left survivors. And those survivors would never forget. Hana looked out the window at the burning Earth. I am coming home, she whispered. And then we are going to show the galaxy what happens when you hurt humanity. The stars were silent. But they would not be silent forever. Humanity was going to make some noise. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was very old. It had stood for 10,000 years on a planet called Vorn Prime. The walls were made of black stone that came from dead stars. Thousands of seats rose up in circles, and in each seat sat a representative from a different alien race. Today, they would decide the fate of a small blue planet called Earth. High Commander Volran stood at the center of the hall. He was tall, almost 3 meters, with gray skin and 4 arms. His people, the Vorni, had ruled the council for 2,000 years. They believed they were the wisest race in the galaxy. Voran looked at the hologram floating before him. It showed Earth spinning slowly in the darkness of space. "This planet," Voran said, his voice deep and cold, "is a problem." The council members leaned forward in their seats. Many of them had never heard of Earth. It was just a small world in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Why did the High Commander care about it? "The creatures on this planet call themselves humans," Voran continued. "They've only had space travel for 200 years. They are primitive. They are weak. But they are also dangerous." A murmur went through the crowd. Dangerous? How could primitive creatures be dangerous? Kayleen sat in the observer section. She was young for her species, only 300 years old. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes were large and silver. She worked as a scientist, studying new species for the council. For the past 50 years, she had been watching Earth. She knew Voran was wrong. "High Commander," Colleen said, standing up. Her voice was soft, but it carried through the hall. "May I speak?" Voran looked at her with annoyance. Observers were not supposed to speak during council votes. But he waved his hand. "Speak quickly." Kayleen walked down to the center of the hall. She looked up at the thousands of faces watching her. Most of them looked bored. Some looked angry. None of them understood what they were about to do. "I have studied humans for 50 years, Colleen said. "I have watched them from space. I have walked among them in disguise. I have learned their languages and read their history." She paused. "They are not like other primitive species. All primitive species are the same," Voran said. "They fight. They destroy. They spread like disease. It is better to end them now, before they become a real threat." "No," Kayleen said. "Humans are different. They have something that other species do not have." "And what is that?" Kayleen looked at the hologram of Earth. Such a small planet. Such fragile creatures living on it. But she had seen what they could do. "They never give up," she said. "I have seen their history. They have faced terrible things. Disease, war, natural disasters. Things that would have destroyed any other species. But humans always survive. They always come back. And they always come back stronger." Voran laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. "You are young, Kayleen. You do not understand. The Council has destroyed hundreds of primitive species. None of them have ever come back." "Humans will," Kayleen said. "If you attack them, they will not forget. They will not forgive. They will find a way to fight back. And they will not stop until they have won." The council members laughed. The idea was absurd. Humans had no real weapons. They had no shields. They had never even left their own solar system. How could they possibly threaten the greatest civilization in the galaxy? Voran raised his hand, and the laughter stopped. "Enough," he said. "We have heard the observer's opinion. Now we will vote." Kayleen felt her heart sink. She had tried. She had warned them. But they would not listen. "All those in favor of attacking Earth and removing the human threat," Voran said, "raise your hands." Thousands of hands went up. Blue hands. Gray hands. Green hands. Hands with claws and hands with tentacles. Almost every member of the council voted yes. All those against? Kayleen raised her hand. She was the only one. Voran smiled. It was not a kind smile. "The vote is complete," he said. "The council has decided. Earth will be destroyed." Far away, on the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Taeho sat in his office at Earth Defense Command. He was an old man now, 62 years old, with gray hair and a face marked by years of worry. He had spent his whole life preparing for something he hoped would never happen. His computer made a sound. A message was coming in. Taeho looked at the screen, and his blood went cold. The message was from a deep space satellite. It had detected something entering the solar system. Something big. Something that was not human. Taeho stood up slowly. His hands were shaking. He walked to the window and looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, an alien fleet was coming, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. He picked up his phone and called the president. "Sir," he said, his voice steady even though his heart was pounding. "We have a situation." "What kind of situation?" the president asked. Taeho closed his eyes. He thought about his daughter, Hana, who was a captain in the space fleet. He thought about his grandson, who was only 5 years old. He thought about all the people on Earth who were going to sleep tonight without knowing that their world was about to change forever. "The aliens are coming," Taeho said. "They've decided to attack us." There was silence on the other end of the line. Then the president spoke. "How long do we have?" Taeho looked at the data on his screen. The alien fleet was moving fast. Faster than anything humans had ever built. 3 days, he said. "Maybe less. Can we fight them?" Taeho wanted to say yes. He wanted to be brave. He wanted to tell the president that Earth could defend itself. But he was a soldier, and soldiers did not lie. "No," he said. "We cannot win this war." But even as he said the words, something burned in his chest. It was anger. It was defiance. It was the same thing that had kept humans alive for thousands of years. They could not win, but they would fight anyway. And somewhere deep in his soul, Taeho made a promise. If humanity survived this, they would make the aliens pay. They would make the whole galaxy pay. The stars had declared war on Earth. Earth would remember.